Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to do something that might feel a little, well, uncomfortable, but trust me, it is absolutely fascinating. We are going to aggressively strip away our human egos to discover how the animal kingdom truly perceives us. Think about it. Have you ever locked eyes with an animal and genuinely wondered, what on earth is going on in your head? And I don't mean wondering if they feel affection for you or if they're just hungry. I mean, what do they actually think you are? Because the reality we're about to explore is that the creatures we share this planet with, yeah, they do not see humans the way we see ourselves. Not even close.
So, what do they actually think you are? See, we naturally view ourselves as these deeply complex individuals, right? We've got names, demanding jobs, smartphones, mortgages, these incredibly busy, interconnected lives. But when an animal stares back at you, they aren't wondering about your day at the office. They literally have no concept of a career or hobby. Instead, they are trying to figure out exactly what kind of entity you represent in their immediate physical world. They're analyzing you purely as a physical presence occupying their space. And this brilliantly highlights the massive disconnect between our reality and theirs. Because instead of seeing people, animals judge us entirely through a survival lens. It's kind of like a giant puzzle for them. They're actively deconstructing us into a collection of raw data points. Think about it. They're cataloging the distinct chemical scents we give off. Maybe it's the lingering smell of your morning coffee or that specific laundry detergent on your clothes. They monitor the heavy, rhythmic noises our boots make against the pavement, our daily movement patterns from the kitchen to the front door, the whole shebang. So the real question isn't, do animals understand humans? It's way deeper. It's about what category of creature they put us in, based purely on that massive, complex sensory footprint we leave behind everywhere we go. Section 1. The pack and the staff. Let's look at our domesticated pets. Let's start with the animals we actually invite into our homes, because there is a stark, absolutely fascinating contrast between our two favorite companions. Now, dogs probably understand us better than any other animal on Earth. They've literally evolved to read our microexpressions, follow our gaze, and deeply sense our shifting moods. But here's the kicker. They don't see us as completely separate from their own social world. To a dog, you are essentially a strange, peculiarly upright pack member. Sure, you have a truly terrible sense of smell compared to them, but you make up for it because, well, you magically provide safety, structural routine, and amazing snacks. When you get home from work, it isn't just a casual hello to a dog. It is a vital, celebratory pack reunion. But cats? Oh, the feline perspective is wildly different. Cats absolutely understand us, but they definitely do not see us as masters. They see us as loud, extraordinarily clumsy social partners. Actually, have you ever noticed your cat meowing at you for breakfast? Adult cats rarely ever meow at each other in the wild. That vocalization is almost exclusively a special, tailored language they developed just for us. In a cat's mind, we're essentially highly trainable giants who just so happen to run the household staff. Section 2, prey, predators, and flocks. Let's step beyond the living room. This dynamic shifts dramatically when we step outside and encounter animals whose lives depend on constant vigilance. Take the horse, for example. Horses are prey animals, which means their entire survival strategy relies on constantly reading the body language of everything around them. They notice your breathing rate, the tension in your shoulders, the exact angle of your posture. And to a horse, well, humans are deeply biologically confusing. I mean, look at our anatomy. We have forward-facing eyes, and we tend to approach them in a very direct, straight line. Biologically speaking, our bodies literally scream predator. Yet, we don't act like predators. We bring them fresh hay, we gently groom them, and we step into the role of strange, calming herd leaders. To a horse, your internal energy, your heart rate, and your calmness dictate exactly what you are in that given moment, far more than any soothing words you might whisper to them.
Now, when we introduce high intelligence into the mix, the equation changes entirely. Highly intelligent birds, like crows and ravens, do not just see a generic human threat wandering into their territory. The way their memory works is staggering. If a crow is treated badly by a human, they don't just fly away and forget about it. No way. First, they memorize your specific face, and they retain that memory not just for a few days, but for years. And then comes the most incredible part. They will actively communicate and warn the rest of their local flock about exactly who you are. A kind person who tosses seeds, logged as a safe individual. A threatening person, permanently logged as dangerous. You aren't just a random member of a species to them. You are a logged, highly specific, and deeply memorable individual in their community.
And this brings us to a wildly fascinating bird's eye view. To a parrot in your house or a raven in the yard, the human concept of ownership simply does not exist. Instead, we're giant, wingless creatures with incredibly weird, booming voices who just happen to possess these powerful, magical hands. Just think about the world from their perspective for a second. With a simple flick of a wrist, we can move massive, heavy doors. We literally control the sun by turning on bright artificial lights, and we conjure endless amounts of food out of thin air from cupboards. We are the strange, magical architects of their habitat, wielding powers that must seem completely supernatural.
Section 3. Background noise and magical boxes. Let's compare wild and urban animals. As we move further away from domesticated relationships, we start to see how the environment completely dictates our identity. For a wild deer deep in the quiet woods, it categorizes you in a strictly binary way. It doesn't care about your personality. Based purely on your shape, your scent, and how fast you're moving, you are either an active threat that it needs to run away from immediately, or you're just background noise to be carefully monitored from a distance. But for urban wildlife, like the pigeons on the sidewalk, the foxes in the alley, the squirrels in the park, our complex human identities dissolve completely into the concrete landscape. We aren't really other creatures anymore. We just become an interactive, moving part of their daily environment. To an urban squirrel, you aren't a person with a rich inner life. You are, quite literally, a moving tree that drops food. That's it. You're a large, unpredictable obstacle that occasionally sheds crumbs of bread or drops a piece of a pretzel. Sometimes we represent danger, sure, and sometimes we're a useful vantage point to climb, but most of the time, we are simply landscape elements with fantastic snack potential. Meanwhile, raccoons see us as the undisputed owners of magical food boxes, and those boxes, of course, are our trash cans. It is hilariously humbling to think that to a raccoon, our incredibly complex human civilization, our sprawling cities, massive infrastructure, global supply chains, it all looks like nothing more than an elaborate system specifically designed to produce leftovers and place them securely inside magical metal bins just for them. Section 4. The Deep Water View. Time to plunge into marine perspectives. When we plunge completely out of our element and into the deep ocean, we encounter minds that are totally alien to our own, judging us in entirely new ways. Take dolphins, for example. They're highly intelligent and deeply curious, but they probably see us as oddly clumsy. Compared to them, we are incredibly slow in the water. We need all sorts of awkward, heavy equipment just to breathe, and we blow weird, noisy bubbles everywhere we go. To a massive whale, a human is just a fragile, tiny speck, quite literally like a small bird hovering beside a skyscraper. They act gentle around us because they acutely sense our vulnerability in their domain. And then there are octopuses. With arms that think almost independently and skin that shifts color, their minds are wonderfully strange. To an octopus looking out from an aquarium tank, we're just large, somewhat predictable shapes moving outside their glass enclosure. They definitely recognize different keepers and notice who feeds them, but our true complex nature, it's completely incomprehensible to them. Section 5. The Pattern of You. Let's talk about behavior as a language. So, across all these radically different environments, what ties this all together? Well, the defining takeaway is this. Rather than asking what a human biologically is, animals ask what this creature usually does. Animals understand us not as a species, but as a pattern. Dogs learn the jingling of keys means you're leaving. Cats learn the metallic pop of a can means dinner. Squirrels learn which humans walk into the park are likely to throw crumbs. To an animal, you are simply a predictable pattern of behaviors and routines that indicates what is about to happen next in their day. And that leads to a deeply humbling question. Are we really the main characters of Earth? We spend so much time assuming we are right at the center of the universe. But animals? They are completely indifferent to our careers, our political views, or our grandest dreams. They aren't trying to decipher our complex human emotions. They're entirely focused on survival, constantly monitoring how our daily patterns and physical presence affect their immediate reality. Ultimately, behavior is the only language that really matters. The next time you lock eyes with a dog, a bird, or a wild deer, remember that they are studying you closely. Every sound you make, every habit you form, it teaches them something. You're constantly telling them exactly what kind of creature you are, not with your words, but with every choice and movement you make in their presence. So, what kind of creature are your patterns telling them you are?